This week in comic books, DC is about to have a very, very, very convoluted, complicated, epic event, and I think they're gonna do it again. We're just gonna lose us in this story. We're gonna talk about that with the books from there. Over in the land of Marvel, Scream and Way of X came out, and who cares? Seriously, if somebody at Marvel can be like, "No, I have a good justification for those two books," blah. Please comment below. Also, in the land of Independence, Barbarella came out, and this is how I imagine, like Twitch e-girls act. Is literally it's like, why isn't anybody paying attention to me on this planet? Everything's wrong. Boobies. All that and a lot more comic books right after the intro. Roll it. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. Love having you here. If this is your first time to the channel, basically I'm a middle-aged man. I read a ton of books on New Comic Book Day, and then I take a bunch of notes on them, and then I regurgitate what I see in them, hopefully to inspire you to read some of the great stuff out there, and maybe even avoid some of the BS out there to save a couple of bucks. So you can buy a pop or something. I don't know what your thing is, but I know what I'm going to do. We're going to break these down for you this week, starting with DC. Very first one is Infinite Frontier. This is okay. It's okay. This is leading up to an epic event that's going to have like their version of Department of Truth, right? This agency, the last secret agency, because Leviathan blew all the other ones up, and they're still out running around and catching a bunch of stuff. They tried to recruit Captain Atom, but come find out, wah, wah, it's not the real Captain Atom. Okay, so here's what's about to happen. You're about to get a lot of references as all these books start heading towards this epic event that are all going to like keep relating back to what happened in Heavy Metal. So if you didn't read Heavy Metal, you're about to see a bunch of narration boxes say, please reference Heavy Metal, X issue. And a lot happened in that book. You can still get caught up and lost. I think they're relying on it just a little too much. But all in all, this was okay. First, we find out our detective lady here, she's kind of a bitch. Like, I'm just going to say it. Yeah. Also, we deal with some variant Superman, some variant Batmans, and there's a lot of variants going on. It's almost like an episode of Loki to some degree, but it wasn't a bad story. It's okay if you've been following this stuff, and you know something's right around the corner, and if you like epic events, probably, but I would not be holding out for a whole lot of action. Also, we find out Speedy, you remember Speedy, the guy, sidekick to Green Arrow. Yeah, apparently he's a White Lantern now. Because we didn't get enough of those in Rebirth. Or whenever that Lantern Wars or... Yeah, okay. Enough on that. Alright, next. Joker number 5. I could have gotten a Joker cover, but I have like tons of Joker covers now. So I went ahead and went with this Punchline one. I thought that was kind of cool looking. She's super faced in it. What happened in this? Basically, this whole issue was a flashback of Gordon back when he kind of first was dealing with the Joker and all this kind of stuff, locking him up. We find out that cannibal family that's been referenced in this book a lot, we kind of shoehorned and retconned them into the whole lore of like older Gotham, right? One of the inmates was a part of that family. That family kind of funded the wing for him to be securely, safely tucked away there and left alone. Well, apparently the worst of them has gotten out, and that's where we're kind of at with this weird, rich Southern family of cannibals. I didn't particularly like this issue. I don't like when the whole comic book's nothing but a flashback issue, because it takes you out of the story in the moment most times, and it just kind of felt like you could have ended this and then like just did a quick maxi on that family alone, put some cool stuff, horror stuff in there, even black labeled it. I thought that would have made a lot more sense, but we just kind of threw it in the second to last issue of Joker. So, again, not about the Joker. Well, kind of he was mentioned in it, even seen. That was about it. Okay, Justice League, Last Ride. So, again, this is going back to the whole something big's about to happen. They got Lobo. The entire universe is hunting down Lobo because they got some serious issues with him. Justice League's got to hide him out. They're on an abandoned planet. And Bubba, they're coming. That's about what you get in this. And of course, Wonder Woman's ready, just standing around in space. How is Wonder Woman, like, I get Superman to some degree. Maybe he just holds his breath for long periods of time. But how is Wonder Woman able to just kind of hang out in space? Has that ever been mentioned? I don't know if that's ever been mentioned or not. And of course, Wonder Woman had to remind everybody that, stop being, bickering at one another. It's time to, nut up and shut up, and do what's right. So we get that kind of monologue in here. And that's fun. That's good. You should always, be motivated to do the right thing. So yeah. But other than that, there's a lot of sitting around a campfire roasting marshmallows and hot dogs. It sounds weird for a review, but man, I'm just telling you what I read in this thing. I don't know. All right. Detective Comics. First off, that cover. As Gotham is burning to the ground. And this one, we kind of get the origin story of the mayor's assistant, Vile. And he's the parasite guy with the thing in his mouth that kind of sucks people's life force or feeds off them. Anyway, so we kind of get his origin story in here. It's not his first appearance, but still a relative book because this and the last issue are really what kind of set him apart to make him something a lot different than what we were intending him to be or what we thought he would be. So really kind of stuck that out there. We get some, he goes head to head with the Huntress. And we get some of the more of that Mr. Worth action in there. Like, he's not, just a grieving father. Taking care of business. Still don't see him as a villain. Is that bad? Probably. All right. Action Comics came out this week. Basically, we just kind of get this House of L story in here from this other timeline, dimension, however you want to play with time. It's the other ones, right? And we kind of get an inside view of what it takes to get married in here and how it's a big ceremony. And apparently the one that's coming into the House of L, the guy has to fight one of the cousins or something like that. That's part of their tradition. I was thinking, man, I have a daughter. And I'm like, if some dude married my daughter, that would be an awesome wedding. It's hey, get in the ring here with one of her cousins because they some big boys. Take care of business. Let's see that. Man, I wish life mimicked comic books a little bit more broadly. But they get sent off to the Phantom Zone by an evil person from the House of L, one of their cousins. They fight there. They meet the metal robotic, Superman from the Reign of Superman. They make it back. They allow him to come back because he did kind of help them out. But we come to find out he's still a jerk and still a villain. So, Yep. Tiger can't change his stripes, I guess. All right, Batman Detective. This is turned into an international man of mystery story. So, right, Batman gets it handed to him. We find out this organization that's out to kill everybody that Batman has saved. We're under the assumption that Batman saved Bruce Wayne, not knowing that it's the same person. So they try to kill him with a pill and, super willpower, advanced training, got him through it or whatever. Not without, per se, messing him up, putting him in a coma for 2 days, but nevertheless, he was able to get away. I like the way Bruce Wayne's drawn in here. This is definitely an older Bruce Wayne. It's a much angrier that's Bruce Wayne. That looks like a villain in any other comic book, but that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed this. And, of course, being Bruce Wayne, he has connections all over the world. So in his little bat tank that he has in, downtown London, right, he brings up the screen, and it's all of his contacts and networks in there. And he's like, I'm putting it out I want to know where these guys are now. It's fun. It's just fun. And we get a cool little homage here that I wanted to show you that I just thought was great. Right? So there's it's like his mobile bat cave, so they had to put a penny and a little Tyrannosaurus Rex in there for him. Aw. Can't go anywhere without your toys. Alright. Super Sons. In this one, we square off with Vandal Savage. Our Super Sons do, right? And he disappeared, right? Magic, whatever. But then the story immediately switches over to where they have to save Cyborg because the scroll says this is who you need to save now. And of course, same rules apply. They can't know that you're saving them, yada, yada, yada. They go into his head or his computer CPU programming with virtual goggles to go in there and fight. As ridiculous as this sounds, the story's not even what really sells this for me. It is just beautiful dialogue. The two characters just talking to one another. It can't help but put a smile on my face. It's witty, banterish. You know, it just seems like something kids would say and do and act around each other. You know, especially those like top tier competitive kids. You know, like I'm not talking like the high school kid that plays baseball or basketball or wrestles. No, I'm talking about like that kid in fourth grade that took the PE classes a little too seriously. Right? Like that's what it reminds me of. As ridiculous as that sounds, but that's kind of what it reminds me of, and it's just fun. I would, it's only 7 issues. You're only in issue 4 now. You kind of got the synopsis of it. I would pick up a couple of these now, just to have some fun with it and read with it. You'll laugh. If you got a sense of humor, you'll laugh. All right, Batman Legends. So what's going on here? Batman and meets Cheer directly for the first time. Cheer, we've come to find out, is actually like in a relationship with the other doctor they met in the last issue. They're all like chemists and super big brainy people. Took some fear toxin, kind of restructured it to give everybody eternal happiness. We also find out that Cheer has like crippling depression, like just absolutely. So he takes this drug and he thinks it's a cure. It's fake happiness. It's delusionary. But it's still like what he sees as a cure, and he just wants everybody to be happy. So he's kind of like Joker on crack. Ta-da! I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. That's not even in my stupid notes, but it's a pretty cool character. And like people that suffer from depression, I could see like, oh, this would make me happy, and then you become hooked and addicted to it. It becomes a thing, and you need to take more of it to survive. Like I get that, but that's not real. And that's what Batman tries to explain to him in here, but it's kind of hard to argue with results sometimes. Also, the story in here, we find out that the Wildcats are back. You remember the Wildcats from the 90s? Bam! That's in the Grifter storyline. That's who's been kind of helping him the whole time. The voice in the box, the person in the chair, however you want to put it. Boom, we got the entire team back. And I was like, oh, wow, like in mainstream DC comic books too. Or in a mainstream story, I should say, with Batman and everything else going on. That's really good. Also, we get another story in here with, I want to say, Spoiler and some other Bat character. They're all Bat characters. And these are the 2 girls, and they're all fighting crime. And honestly, I don't want to say anything bad about it, because it make it almost seem like I'm making fun of it, but I'm really not. It's just bad. It's just a bad story. And then the Drake story in here as well, with this Warmonger character. Come to find out it's a cult that believe in something, and his friend probably ended up joining them. I gotta take a sip because there are only 2 good stories in that one, with Grifter and the main story. Oh, that brings the funny back. Okay. Going into Gotham. This really isn't my kind of story. I should say that first. If you're a fan of anime, I would say that, it has that very black and white anime type art where they don't focus so much on regular things, but then they do like beautiful details like flying through the sky and stuff like that. Overall, the story in itself, it's okay. Like, we're dealing with the next Batman, this other knockoff Batman in the Future State verse, and then him, and they fight each other. All the prisoners from Blackgate escape, and we get introduced to another new character. And I can't. His name escapes me. Let's take 2 seconds to look at it. Oh, Warmonger, who's basically just a barbarian. This whole savage is noble thing, right? The kind of John Locke type philosophy there. True nobility, savagery. That's kind of his thing, right? So much so that he's going to make his enemies fight. in a pit to figure out which one can stay alive and which one they're going to kill slowly. I'm not really sure how that's supposed to work out. And then we get a Harley Quinn story where she steals from a thief but runs into Batman. Literally all that happened in that one. All right, next. Scream. Jumping into Marvels. So Scream came out, right? It's got a young cover. That means I got to read it. I was actually going to blow this book off. It was okay. I don't think it's worthy of an issue 2, if an issue 2 even comes out. I'm not even sure. It says part 2 of 5 of Extreme Carnage. So it's part of the whole Extreme Carnage thing. I thought the artwork in here was stunning. I mean, this artist wants to show off. There's these huge, just full pages of just beautiful artwork being done. And it's very chaotic, right? Like the whole Extreme Carnage thing, right? Everything's chaotic in it. So in this one, Scream is her and her human host, if you will, Andy, are kind of hanging out trying to fight crime because some monsters are escaping a government facility. And then all of a sudden, the symbiote is drawn to Carnage. Carnage shows up and he's like, ha ha ha, evil guy, and you need to come home to the hive, right? I'm not good with sound effects, right? And it does happen, and Andy tries to fight it and ends up maybe destroying her. Like, look, that's another full page just splash right there. That is awesome. The artwork in here is beautiful. The story's pretty mundane, but this whole hellfire thing that she can do, possibly destroying her symbiote Scream, really kind of broke her down because that was like her family, right? Like, it literally broke her down. That was her family, and she's very upset by that. And I'm like, all right, so Carnage is going to be gone or Scream's going to be gone for a while. So, am I interested in this? I don't know. Maybe I'll thumb through the next one, kind of see what's going on in there. Sinister War pops out, and thank you, Spencer, for writing this book, because Spider-Man's been a little bit of a letdown lately. I hate to say that, I really do. Now, this is predicated very heavily on the Mary Jane working with Mephisto storyline. If you weren't reading the Mary Jane, you don't have to worry about it. You already know now. Boom. And Peter Parker did not know that the director was actually Mephisto at the time because it wouldn't set off his spider senses or anything. All the Sinister people are coming down on one Mephisto, right? Because he made him look like a chump in his movie. They're all coming down, bringing down the house on him there. And we get 2 of the Sinister teams that show up. The more classic one that wants Mephisto back, and then a more newer one with villains that you'll still recognize. And then they start fighting, and it's great. It's just fun. There's also a sub-story in here with Mephisto. Apparently some sort of deal was struck with Mephisto by Peter Parker to kind of, well, we don't know. We can always speculate on it. Next, Aliens. After movie 2, Aliens 2, what happened 30 years after that event? This is kind of a storyline that goes with it. Basically, we have a radioactive xenomorph hunting down a bunch of eco-terrorists, and then kind of does greed take over at the end with the major company trying to strike deals up. I'll probably read some more of that. War of the Bounty Hunters. So we have all the scoundrels, heads of organizations in the universe, kind of, well, they're at an auction, and they're betting on Han Solo's carbonite, imprisonment capsule thing. Leia, Chewie, and Orlando Calrissian, they kind of show up because they're going to try to free him. Doc Ifra's there to possibly steal it. And then the Imperial there, they want to bet on it. But Jabba the Hutt ends up betting like 1 million credits. Like, outblows everybody in the auction. And then, like, Darth Vader comes out of nowhere with his hands on his hips, like, no, you won't. It was all, like, for an epic reveal, it was just kind of lackluster, I thought. Next, this is good. Oh, I can't wait till Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to dive into this. This had a great story to it. So if you've been reading anything with Thor in it, he's been having a little trouble with Mjolnir, his hammer, right? Like, it's been doing whatever the hell it wants. And he hasn't been able to figure it out. And then the realization comes that, Mjolnir was meant to be held by a warrior, and, well, he's now a king. And it's time for him to set aside his childish things and take his role as a king, which means Mjolnir needs to be wielded by somebody else. Oh, it was great, and it was glorious. And then we get the most saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. Thor sits there and explains to Captain America, he goes, you know why I'm always so happy whenever I see you guys? Like, he literally, even in the movies, he's like super happy to see everybody. It's because he doesn't know if they're dead or not. Because he lives so long that moments in time are literally like seconds. So, introducing yourself to somebody for the first time, maybe hanging out for a little while, is like, what did you have for breakfast 4 years ago to him? Right? And I was just like, that's really sad. I was like, oh, wow. So definitely, powerful book. Good stuff. Let's see here. Carnage. Red, White, Black. 3 more stories about, surprise, it's Carnage. That's what happens in it. It's kind of like watching a scary movie so many times, and you know when the cat's going to jump out versus when the slasher's going to stab you. That's where I'm at with this. So I'm probably going to be dropping this. First story was extremely confusing. The future story was just whatever. And then another Cassidy origin story of why he kills before he became Carnage. Yeah. Way of X. So Nightcrawler's trying to figure out what he can, what's the mortar that can bring his society together, because they're all heathens. They're causing undue pain to people, but they're not killing, and they're just screwing around, literally popping out kids everywhere, because there's 3 vague rules that they got to follow. As long as they follow the rules, what are the consequences for anything else? And Nightcrawler can't figure out how to get everybody together. It's called Morals, Ethics, and Consequences. It's literally staring him in his face, and he's trying to make it deeper than it actually needs to be. It's just more word salad. Alright, going into indies this week. Techno Horror. Oh, this is good. This is so good. I really like the stories here. Like, the art is, it's art. Some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it. But 3 quick stories just to engage you, get you trapped into it, and make you want more. This was good. Just a couple of horror stories, and they're all based off of basic fears, like several creepy crawlies crawling all over you, right? Or the depths of the ocean and having that feeling that something's behind you, or being suffocated, right? Just baseline fears, and they kind of tell a story based around them. I thought that was great. Next, Savage Hearts. I saw this on somebody else's top 10 books to look for this week. And this was, I'm glad I actually paid attention to it, because this is whimsical and funny. This little Pan type character here, they give his name. I haven't been able to pronounce it yet. I need to read it a few more times to actually get it. He's kind of like a fun-loving, just happy-go-lucky guy who's an over-flirt, and he's flirting with this beast woman right here. It looks like China back when she used to wrestle. Pre-porn. That's the way to put that. So yeah, and it's a quest story, but it's satire as well, and it's funny, and I think a lot of people would like this. I would definitely, if you see it, it's there, and you're like, I got an extra $5, you may enjoy it as well. Next, last book, as I said in the beginning, Barbarella comes back out. I did not mean that as a slant towards this book. I meant that as a slant towards Twitchy girls, because I just think that whole thing's ridiculous. But Barbarella is supposed to be a satirical look at kind of a Mary Sue character that relies on its sexuality in a story frame where that's a skill, right? That's the whole point of Barbarella. It's kind of always been the point of a Barbarella. She makes peace through being sexy. That's the point of the story, and they definitely leaned in on that in here, kind of updating her. Kind of modernizing her little dome spaceship to something a little more sleeker, making her AI computer make sense by making it a solid hologram. Doesn't matter. The whole thing is just supposed to be funny and gimmicky and just kind of poking fun at Mary Sue type characters, and they definitely do that in here. I don't even know if my comic book shop's going to get issue 2. Hopefully they do. If they don't, I'll be okay missing it. It's not going to be anything huge. All right, guys. Other than that, what do we got? We got Boom Boom Arrows this month that we're making. An homage to, Green Lantern and Hawkeye. They always got the Boom Boom Arrow. We're making those. The promo's up, but we should have the video done here in the next few weeks and get that out to you. So be on the lookout for that. Easy way to do that is just subscribe and hit that notification bell. Otherwise, you're just going to have to wait till it randomly shows up on the side thing if YouTube hasn't banned me yet. I don't know. Also, don't forget Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Myself, Spectacular Spider Grandpa, and Huey's Comics. We're going to take a deeper dive into some of these books, dive into it. We have a live chat going on where you get to come in and kind of let us know what you thought about the books you read. Also, if you want to know what we thought about some of these books. Some of these books end up getting chucked into the lightning round. And if you're like, no, I want you to talk to me about Barbarella, then we'll talk to you about Barbarella, buddy. Hey, no reason to get mad. We'll do that because we love you. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I got to get out of here. Take it easy. Bye.